you've brewed beer at home, then you've probably also considered stepping out the hobby and going pro. I also have had these thoughts, but I've never thought going pro was an option for me, at least not right now. But when opportunity knocks, and you're given a chance to brew pro, even if it's just for a day, you can't say no. I'm Trent Musho, and this is The Brew Show. Let's go pro. When my buddies Trevor, Joel, and Maury over at Southo Brewing in Oceanside asked me to help brew a beer on their system, I jumped at the opportunity. How could I pass up a chance to brew on a professional setup? It's like every homebrewer's dream. The idea came about thanks to a program put on by San Diego Beer News called HomeBrew Summer. This program has two folds. One is that breweries in San Diego can scale down their recipes to a homebrew level to share, and the other is where breweries can team up with homebrewers to develop and then brew a recipe on their professional system. So when Trevor of Southo hit me up to work on a recipe, I was ecstatic. My mind immediately began to swirl with ideas. The beer in my mind needed to be an easy summer sipper, and I could go with something like a crisp, refreshing lager, or even a fruity, hoppy session IPA. But to me, nothing says thirst quenching quite like a fruited wheat ale. The wheat adds a bright but full mouthfeel, and a summery fruit ties so perfectly with the base beer, and can be really taken many directions depending on fruit choice. I've done other wheat ales in the past, like watermelon, apricot, peaches, and even more, and they never disappoint. So with that basic idea, I met up with Maury, the head brewer, to start brainstorming ideas. When I initially mentioned a fruited wheat ale, I saw his eyes light up. I could tell he was already getting ideas. Maury actually had mentioned he had some Açai puree that he was waiting for the right recipe on, and I was sold. Açai, if you're not familiar, is a superfood that hails from South America. It comes from palm trees in the rainforest and is rich in nutrients and antioxidants, in some cases 10 times the amount found in blueberries. And the flavor of raw acai is often compared to blackberries or blueberries with just a touch of bitterness, similar to a bite of nice dark chocolate. But you've probably most commonly seen acai sold in a smoothie bowl. It's often blended with blueberries and other fruits to cut back on the bitterness. Okay, so we were on the same page with the fruit and the base beer, and then it came time to talk specifics on the recipe. We pulled inspiration from some of my wheat ale recipes in the past. Keeping the grain bill quite simple, I opted for a majority of it to be 2 row, about 50%, and then filled the rest in with wheat malt, about 40% red wheat. I love the slightly more bready character that you can get from red wheat. And then finished it out with 10% flaked wheat to add a nice full rounded mouthfeel, which will be key when we add the fruit addition later. As for hops, we could have gone many ways. One idea was to go neutral and let the fruit do the heavy lifting on the flavor.
We want to pump you up!
But why not find a hop that will actually amplify and lift the beer to new heights? To me, one hop immediately stood out as the perfect option for this, and that was Mosaic. Mosaic always gives me a slight berry flavor when it's used in the late hop or dry hop additions. And Maury completely agreed. So the last component was the yeast. Nothing fancy or unheard of here. Just the classic Saf Ale USO5 ale yeast, also known as the Chico strain. Something clean fermenting to not distract from the flavors that we have working for us. So with the recipe built, it was time to brew. I'll have the official HomeBrew Summer recipe linked below that's already sized down to the homebrew scale if you want to try brewing this one for yourself. But on this day, I was brewing a 10 barrel batch. That's 310 gallons of beer. By far, my biggest batch of beer to date. The brew day started just like any homebrew day would, by milling the grain. The only difference being, instead of a 7 to 10 pound grain bill, it was more like 450 pounds of grain. Whew! Luckily, Southo has a big mill, and an auger that pipes the grain from the mill up and over to the mash tun, all at the click of one button. Speaking of mash tun, this is what theirs looks like. On the top is where the mash happens, and on the bottom is the hot liquor tank, or HLT, that holds the hot water that'll be used. Actually, as the grains come into the top, the water mixes in with it, to keep the grain dust down, but also make sure the grain gets plenty saturated. The water they use here goes through some pretty big filters, to strip out anything undesirable, and then where needed, Maury can add in the typical water salts. They also adjust their pH, but unlike using lactic acid, Southo opts for phosphoric acid, which is a bit stronger in concentrate, and doesn't have any flavor carryover, which lactic acid can if you use too much. While the water and grains are coming in, I added the first dose of phosphoric acid. Let's take a second to just take in all these buttons, numbers, dials, pipes, and valves here. Every brewery is a little different, and not all places have such automation. But at first glance, this was all super overwhelming. I'm just used to a propane burner and a brew bag. I usually don't have to press any buttons. But once you start to look at everything, and you get some insight from the head brewer, it all starts to click. Okay, so there's our mash tun, and the desired mash temp. There's the HLT, and its settings for temp. This one's called rakes. Oh, that's that big thing that turns around in the mash tun, kind of like a giant mash paddle. That sure is convenient to keep things well mixed and temps even, and beats using a giant spoon. Although even on the big scale, it's still necessary sometimes. They also do a really nice job of labeling the valves to keep things straight. But even so, I was a bit nervous to turn the wrong one. I don't want to get things going the wrong way. I was having a blast learning from Maury. He was a really great teacher, and he really made learning on the system a lot easier. It helps knowing he was once a homebrewer, so he knows where the crossover is, and where a homebrewer like myself might not know what's going on. As the mash rested, we prepped the fermenter. Much, much bigger than my dinky fermenter. And in order to sanitize it, they don't use Star San. They go for a caustic that's much stronger. And I let Maury handle that one. Back at the mash tun, our timer was up, and it was time to boil off, which is basically recirculating the wort over the bed of grains until the wort comes through clear, basically using the bed of grains as a filter. And once clear, the wort is then transferred over to the brew kettle. That can take a while, so we decided to prep the next ingredients, the fun ones. First up, the hops. I weighed out a buttload of hops. The homebrew recipe says a 2-ounce addition for the brew day. Well, here we're adding about 35 times that much, and it smelled amazing. Then we got out the Açai puree. This is a 5-gallon bucket of the good stuff, but man was it heavy. I snuck a quick taste, and it got me even more pumped for the final result. It was sweet but tart, and had a very berry-like flavor. Go figure. As the kettle was filling up and heating up, I added a bit of firm cap, which is like an anti-foamy agent so that the kettle doesn't boil over making a mess. I know I've had my fair share of boilovers, and I can't imagine the kind of cleanup that would be on this scale. So it's a good call to use it here, and I might have to start using some myself. Speaking of cleanup, with the wort out of the mash tun, it was time to clean up the grains. Maury mentioned that being a brewer is mostly about being a janitor that occasionally makes beer, and that couldn't be more true. I mean, I hate to clean on a homebrew scale, but it's even more work on a pro scale. Of course, everything is sized up, and there is some automation to help, but you still gotta get your hands dirty. By the way, if you're curious, Southo donates their spent grain to local farms, one of which comes with a whole flock of friends during pickup. At this point, we just have sweet wheat wort, so it's time to change that and add some color and flavor. Since we're just looking for flavor and aroma contributions, and our hops are high in alpha acids, everything is going in the whirlpool. First up, the Açai, and immediately you can see the color change. Then that was followed up by the Mosaic. The aroma coming out of the kettle was intoxicating. Once that was in, the process of slowly chilling began. They use a plate chiller here, but a big beefy cousin of the one homebrewers use. And as it chills, it gets transferred via tubes to the fermenter. Over at that fermenter, Maury dropped in the USO5. That big bucket of yeast is just yeast they collected from a previous batch, and they'll try to reuse the yeast as many times as they can to reduce the cost. But not only that, the yeast will perform better and get stronger and larger with each batch, up until a point. We also added some Brewer's Clarex, which if you watched my gluten reduced video, then you know what that stuff does. Not only does it aid in clarity of the final beer, but it also reduces the overall gluten content of the beer. It's awesome stuff, and they have a version of it by White Labs called Clarity Firm that's available to homebrewers. We also took an original gravity reading, and we landed at 1.048, with a good chunk of those sugars coming from that puree. From there, we just had to wait as the fermenter filled up. But look at that color. And of course, I couldn't just be standing around. Trevor put me to work to make sure I really got the full pro experience. It was an epic day to say the least, and a lot of fun. But I couldn't wait to try this beer. A few days later, Maury added in the dry hop charge into the top of the fermenter, about twice as many Mosaic hops as we used on brew day, to really punch up that berry hop flavor. And then finally, after days of waiting, I was able to come back in and get my first taste. The fermenters at Southo can be pressurized, which is great for a lot of reasons, but one of them is to speed up the time needed in the fermenter. They can be carbonating in the fermenter, so it's all ready to go into kegs and be put on tap. So using this little thing called a pigtail, I was able to get that first taste, and boy, did it not disappoint. but in order to get the full experience, I had to wait until my pro brewed beer was officially on tap. Presenting Açai Bowl Wheat Ale. I gotta say, it's pretty mind-boggling to have a beer you brewed on tap at a pro brewery. That first pour was an amazing sight to see. The color was simply beautiful, a bright rose, almost hibiscus color. And on the aroma was a super berry note. It smelled almost like a smoothie bowl, with light notes of bread in the background. On the sip, it's immediately smooth and goes down so easy, just as I was hoping. The flavor is almost raspberry-like, with a slight tartness, but I also got some blueberry sweetness at the end. To me, this is the perfect summer drink that you can crush multiple of. And in the end, the ABV was about 5.4. And thanks to the acai puree, it dried out really nicely, which I think helps with the crushability. But that malt bill, with all the wheat, helps the body stand up so it's not too thin. It balances perfectly with the tart fruit and dryness. I couldn't be happier with the results, and I'm really happy with the experience. I have to say thank you again to Trevor, Joel, and Maury, and all the crew over at South O. I really appreciate you inviting me to come over and collab on a beer. A truly amazing experience. It's kind of odd, but a rewarding feeling when I'm sitting at the brewery and I see someone random order a beer I made. The whole thing really makes you appreciate the work that goes into one little pint. If you ever get an opportunity like this, jump at it. Or maybe just get out there and start making friends with your local brewery. You never know what may come of it. And if you are in San Diego, be sure to check out the awesome beers that South O has on tap. Curious to know even more about what it's like to brew professionally? Then check out this video where I talk about the differences between homebrewing and pro brewing.